Hey everyone, so I'm trying to re-record these in order, as some of you can probably tell. But I'm sorry, that doesn't mean that there won't really be much fully unique content until this is done, but I hope that the increase in quality makes up for that. Anyway, the actual topic of this video is my top 10 favorite movies. However, I'm only going to be doing the top 10 animated ones, since it turns out I actually did a top 10 live-action movies literally right after this one. But don't worry, my list didn't actually change at all, and that may or may not be a good thing. But except for number 1, these aren't really in order. These are just movies that I can watch over and over and over and not get sick of. And although that may seem like it's most movies, but we're just going to say that's besides the point. So anyway, number 10, Fievel, An American Tale. So according to my parents, this was actually one of the first movies I ever watched, and my childhood room had a huge painting of Fievel on the wall, and I do vaguely remember seeing photos of that later in life, so I'm going to trust it. I haven't seen it in a couple years now, but there was this point in high school where I watched this, and only this, for a couple months. The songs are so beautiful, and the voice actors all sound so real. That means like their voices crack and their pitches change, and no one can really sing well. But that just adds to the feeling of it being so pure and real. You can feel these mice struggling, and you can hear their fear. The movie itself is an allegory for the plight of the Jewish people who are escaping Europe to come to the USA, and they find out that the American dream was really just that, just a dream, as they deal with the government westernizing their own names, parents and children being separated, and a whole new world of poverty as the flood of immigrants and lack of resources combine to create an environment where all you have is your hope and faith. It's beautiful and was relevant in the 90s when I first watched it, and it's still relevant today when we forget that people have always been struggling and fighting to survive. So number 9 is Robin Hood. And if this wasn't just so typical for a furry, but when I was 9, my first crushes were Fox McCloud, Fox from Franklin, and Robin Hood. So if that didn't just predict the entire rest of my life, well, the thing I like best about Robin Hood isn't just the fact that I had a stupid crush on him, but I really love that it's one of the few Disney movies that really disregards the setting and focuses on the character and the stories mostly. I know some of you are probably going to disagree with me, especially since Disney just kind of assumed we all knew the story of Robin Hood and knew what England was supposed to look like. But the backgrounds, and although gorgeous in their own way, are not the jaw-dropping landscape that we normally see. We get a real focus on the character interactions with each other, and that, it just, to me, makes it stand out above the other Disney movies. So number 8 is Howl's Moving Castle. So I only wanted to put one Ghibli movie on this list, as I never really grew up with the company, and I only discovered them when I was 13, or 14, I think. But the first one I watched was Spirited Away, and that's the one that most people tend to put on their list. But dang, I got Howl's Moving Castle on DVD when my local Rogers was closing down, and my sister and I watched it so many times. Like, there's a point where we went to our province's capital for one of our other sisters' dancing competitions, and her and I just sat in the hotel room and watched it back to back 4 times in a row. And yes, we had brought other movies. This is just the one that we wanted to watch. And before you say it, yes, I have read the book, and I like it, but it's just not the same. I mean, I know they're not supposed to be the same, but I don't hear Christian Bale when I read the book, and it's not quite as fantastical. I mean, it's a really good book, but the movie, to me, is even better. And, you know what, I'm just going to say it. It has the best English voice casting that Studio Ghibli has ever done. So if you're kind of on the fence about this one, just rewatch it. Trust me. So number 7. I'm fearing this one. Okay, so just to get this out of the way, Lion King 1 is not on this list. Lion King 2... You know, I can already see all of you chipping away at your keyboards to give me a nasty note about it, but it's fine. I know the vast majority of people don't agree with me. Hell, Kyle even doesn't. But in Lion King 2, I love the music more. The songs have much more passion to them, and the characters were so much more enjoyable. The story doesn't seem overly forced, and the animation is near flawless. And considering that's a Disney sequel, I don't think I can give it any higher praise. I do like this more than the original, but that doesn't mean I hate the original. Lion King 1 is one of my go-to movies whenever I've had a bad day. But in terms of enjoyment, I just get so much more from Lion King 2. And before anyone says it, yes, I do really love Kovu. I'm one of those people. Anyway, number 6 is Cats Don't Dance. So I don't know why, but about a year or so ago, this movie came back into everyone's memories and suddenly it was popular again. I'm honestly not sure why, but I'm grateful since it meant that more people would watch it, and I was kind of hoping that it may get re-released on Blu-ray, but that didn't happen. But in recent months, it seems to have been forgotten again. I'm not sure if the movie is getting more appreciation right now, but hey, I'm glad that people watched it while they did. And honestly, this movie has a really underrated soundtrack. Natalie Cole has one of the best voices in the whole wide world. And the animation is very fluid and colorful. There's not too much going on in the background, but it gives you a sense of its time and place. And honestly, I couldn't imagine a movie that kind of fits the hidden gem label as much as this one. Number 5, Oliver and Company. And I think you've noticed by now, at least hopefully, you're seeing the pattern of Disney, not Disney, Disney, not Disney that I have going on. Well, at least it's intentional, and it's one of the big reasons this list is not in any order, since not only do people already know Disney is great, I don't want to have this huge block of Disney after Disney. You guys want to hear about other movies than that. However, most people don't seem to care about Oliver and Company. When I went to Disneyland back in 2011, I looked everywhere for a single piece of Oliver and Company merchandise. Heck, I found merch for Mulan's dog, but nothing for Oliver. Not even a pin. He is by far my all-time favorite Disney character. This is also a call-out in case any of you has merch for this movie, because I want to buy it from you. It's a gorgeous movie. The cast is hilarious, and they all work so well together. Their personalities bounce off each other as if they were literally just walking down the street with each other. And Billy Joel is just a pure being of a person. And you know what? This is the last time. No, this is the second to last time I'm going to say this word, but he is underrated as a person and a voice actor. So, number 4, Summer Wars. So this is probably the most recent movie on this list, and for a good reason. Summer Wars is wildly emotional, and if you don't hate me for my Lion King 2 comment, you're gonna hate me for this one. I think I like the movies of Mamoru Hosoda more than I like Studio Ghibli. At least percentage-wise, since there's quite a few Ghibli movies I don't like, and with Mamoru, there's only one. Granted, he hasn't done as many movies as Hayao Miyazaki. I just think that after 2008, there really hasn't been a Studio Ghibli movie I've thoroughly enjoyed by them. And I'm sorry to say, and don't get me wrong, I still buy them all and I still love them, but Summer Wars to me is superior to almost every Ghibli movie ever made. It's not as fantastical, and yes, I know about Digimon. I'm a child of that era, but that only made it almost better in a way. The entire family dynamic and the plot doesn't actually seem to end, which is good, but like it had so many times where it could end, it could just close, but it doesn't, and it keeps you on your toes. I enjoy this movie start to finish every single time. Number 3 is the Aristocats. I own 4 different versions of this movie. I have it on VHS, Laserdisc, the original DVD from 2000, and the Blu-ray DVD combo. The only other movie I have in this many formats is Aladdin. And the reason I do for both these movies is because each version is different. Like with Aladdin, it's the soundtrack. The VHS and Laserdisc have the true audio, and the Blu-ray DVD that came out in 2015 has like this gross CD overlay for the songs. And maybe it's a silly thing to be angry about, but it physically hurts me to watch the Blu-ray of Aladdin. Thankfully with Aristocats, it really isn't a problem with the audio, but it's more of the overly crisp and cleaned up way that Disney does Blu-rays. Like, they're very notorious for doing it. And I love watching the old VHS versions because of the one thing I enjoy best about old Disney movies is how you can see the sketch lines during the movie, and they don't erase or paint over, or they couldn't do it. I know that's weird since it means it isn't clean, but that's what makes it so pure for me. Like, it's messy, and it gives it life and personality, and this is weird to say, but it makes it human. Anyway, I have a long personal history with Aristocats, and honestly, I know she's passed on, but I have a huge voice crush on Ava Gabor, so whenever I feel sad, I watch Aristocats on VHS or Laserdisc, and it makes me so happy. I should note that I specifically have the 2000 release of the DVD because of the cover art. It's the only one I've ever seen, so, I'll try to find a picture of it so I can put it on here, but it has red, them sitting in front of it, and it's beautiful. So number 2 is Iron Giant. Alright, so like a week ago I was in Kamloops and I went to EB Games and I saw an Iron Giant shirt. I almost cried with happiness until the cashier told me it was from Ready Player One, and all of a sudden I didn't want to buy this $20 shirt. The silhouettes from the people started to make sense, actually. And I have this huge thing against Ready Player One, so I wasn't ready to have my heart broken this way. Another thing that made sense was the flood of Iron Giant images on my Facebook. I just thought people started giving it the credit it deserved, but apparently not. Anyway, I love this movie so much. The Giant has a soul-crushingly beautiful character, and Hogarth is awkward and quirky, and just his mom, oh man, she is a good bean. And oh no, you know what? Dean is a beautiful bastard, and I love him. This movie, it's gained popularity recently, and honestly, it deserves every ounce of praise it gets. I don't care if you're a new fan or an old fan, just if you appreciate this movie, you are a good bean. It is a very wonderful movie. So we're all ready for number one? Anyone who knows me already knows this, but it is Road to Eldorado. That's my favorite movie of all time. It has been 10 years, and I will fight anyone to the death that this is by far Elton John's best work. Every single song is great, and I have both versions of the CD, and the fact that they put unreleased songs on there is so pure and great. And guys, I feel robbed. I need this on Blu-ray. I need a sequel. I need a TV series. Boss Baby gets a fucking series. They rebooted Spirit. Everything has a sequel, but not Road to Eldorado. Not long ago, DreamWorks released all of their movies with fancy new covers. Every single one, including Joseph King of Dreams and Sinbad, but not Road to Eldorado. I'm very emotional about this movie, guys. It's so good. It's so beautiful. It's so fucking good. Netflix, okay, anyone who has seen my social media in the past 4 months knows the story. Netflix no longer lets me watch it. I have to switch users to watch this movie on Netflix. I've watched it so many times on my account. It doesn't let me do it. Miguel is a sweet baby, and he needs to be protected. Every line of this movie, every song, every part, every scene is gorgeous. And honestly, it's to the point where I have, on many occasions, played this movie 4 times in one day. It just doesn't end. It's so good. And I can't tell you how much I love this movie and how much I loathe DreamWorks for abandoning it. It deserves so much more love and life, and one of these days, I'm going to make a personal commentary track for the world to enjoy. So, I also have 3 honorable mentions. I was debating doing this, but I gotta give these movies some love. The reason they didn't make it to the top 10 would be that 2 of them were too recent for me to have a deep emotional connection. And in the case of 2 of them as well, like, I just couldn't get over an underlying problem I've had with the fandom of it. I know that's a really silly reason to not have something on a list, but I'm sorry, that's my list and my reasons. Anyway, my 3 honorable mentions are Balto, Zootopia, and Wolf Children. And I don't think I really want to get into more detail with them, but there you have it, my list of favorite animated movies. So, special thanks to my patron Jupiter, and if you want a vocal shout out in my video or just want to support me, check out the links in the description below. Thank you for watching, guys, and I'll see you next week.